Hello, welcome back to the Fashion Nap. The break is over. I'm so happy to be back. We've made some home improvements and I can't wait for you to see these new episodes. Let's talk about Jess Lawrence. Jess Lawrence is a sneakerhead ex-basketball player who worked at Vogue and lectures at Central Saint Martens, a sentence you cannot say about everybody. She played basketball for 15 years and her love for sneakers overflowed into her love for fashion. She now dominates the creator space. She has 45,000 people following her for outfit inspo. I first met Jess when I did her nails at a Jordan event back in 2023 and we were chatting about different avenues that she wanted to expand into. I asked her if she'd like to continue the conversation on the Fashion Nap and she said yes. Let's go and meet Jess. Welcome back. I am here with Jess Lawrence, aka Jessie Law, who you may know as being the sneaker queen of the world on the internet. She has many jobs. She has jobs. She's booked and busy, and we're going to learn about them all. I'm not even gonna, we just tried to figure out like how I should introduce your job, and we figured out we can't.
Fashion dude. That's what I think we should.
A fashion dude.
On. Fashion dude.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, my voice is a bit croaky because got the party spirit still in me. You know, she loves to have a good time. But I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, party girl is one of your titles.
Yeah, that's the main one.
No, I'm good. I feel like we just caught up for a really long time, so now
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, how are you? I'm very bad at faking the funk on camera, but let's get into some questions. So I talk to a lot of people in fashion, and what I noticed about your specific journey that's quite different than everybody else, you kind of got into fashion via sports.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
In terms of like fashion and sneakers, I grew up playing a lot of sport, like playing basketball, things like that. So if we think about Jordan, like the brand Jordan, like my introduction to that was on the basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but this was when I was growing up, and I think when I was at university, that place that sport had in my life kind of left my body, left my soul, and that was filled with like the leftover fashion that I'd sort of learned from that era, if that makes sense. So my introduction was always like sportswear, streetwear, things like that, and obviously sneakers, not performance sneakers anymore, just like fashion sneakers. But yeah, it was quite sort of authentic and organic how I got into it, and then kind of then moved more into like pure streetwear kind of vibes as I got a bit older. Yeah.
So before, like when you were younger, like a little kid, were you not really interested? You were just more focused on like playing basketball and enjoying your life?
I was doing those things. I was definitely enjoying my life. One thing about me, I'm going to enjoy my life. My mum always says that when I was growing up, I was so funny with like colour, and I think I've got a really good eye for colour. Like she said, like she would dress me sometimes, and I'd be like, no, like this doesn't go. Or like we'd go out for dinner, and like I'd spill something on my top, and I'd be like, we need to go home and change. I cannot be seen like this, you know, like a child. Like
my son's like this.
Really?
If he has a thread on his clothes, he freaks out.
He's gonna be a fashionista.
He's literally like, oh no, I haven't got scissors on me.
This is not perfect.
I've got to carry like a styling kit. Like,
for the toddler, I love that. So yeah, like I think I've always, and like me and my mum used to match a little bit, and I always had loads of clothes, loads of shoes. All my family have loads of shoes, and like very stylish, I think. So I think it's just kind of in my DNA, and it's just, yeah, I feel like it's always been with me. I don't think it's anything I've learned or tried to do. I think this career path has kind of come to me very naturally, just from me being me.
If you got into work like this and it wasn't that easy, I think people could really struggle.
Yeah.
And I think people do.
But that's what I say about everything. Like, any industry is going to be difficult. So what's important is that you have to have the passion for it, because that's what gets you through like the dark times, the bad times, whatever it is. If you have that undying passion. If you don't, and you're like sort of trying to fake it, you're going to get bored. You're going to like, it's going to burn out. It's going to fizzle out. But, you know, like even if the internet blew up and we never had it anymore, I would still care about fashion. Do you know what I mean? I'd accessorize and have, so I think that's the important thing, to have that like underlying passion.
And if the internet blew up, you'd still be in a job because you're a lecturer.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, that was really good. Segue.
So you're actually an associate lecturer at Central Saint Martens,
yeah.
Right? So, and you know that even the international girlies watching this know what Saint Martens is.
Like, I think people that are not even fashion know it, which is amazing. And I sometimes I forget about sort of the power of the university and like its global status. I kind of forget sometimes. So it's like amazing. I'm so proud, and like I love it. Going into that building is the most like inspiring thing. My notes app is always like outfit ideas from like the students. But I got into it because my career job has always been doing like social media for fashion publications. That's been my full-time job, and I still do it freelance now, like Condé Nast, different brands. But so when I was working at Vogue Business, my last full-time job that I had as a social media lead, I met this guy Roger, and we hit it off instantly. And he's like this amazing journalist, big in the game, such a lovely man, and he basically is a course leader at Central Saint Martens for the fashion journalism master's course. So one year he was like, do you want to come in and sort of talk to the students about sneakers and things like that. And I was like, yeah, cool, fine. And that went really well. I remember a Zoom call during the pandemic, and I showed his students that year, like all my sneakers and things. And then the next year he was like, oh, do you want to come in and actually, we can give you a bit of money and actually do like a more like an actual traditional lecture, more about social, like a bit about sneakers, but about social media stuff as well. And I was like, yeah, cool. That went great and I loved it. And then the year after that, he was like, do you actually want to join the course as an associate lecturer? And I was like, yeah, and I love it. So I haven't done my postgraduate certificate yet, which I want to do soon, which means I can then like be a fully fledged lecturer.
Could you be a professor?
Well, I have to do a PhD, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I want to.
I just like that word.
Yeah, professor. I might just call it anyway, just claim it. Like, how do you know? Like, no, but I want to do a PhD. I want to eventually. I'm not in a rush, but I want to do it. I want to do a master's and PhD. So yeah, I just love it. I love it, and I want to do more. And it seems to just be sort of gradually building up each year. So hopefully next year and the years after, I'll be doing even more.
I think in my head and in a lot of people's heads, like there's only one route to doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm always surprised, like when all these really cool people are like, oh yeah, I also just like teach at the fashion school. I'm like, this is very cool.
It's what makes me feel the best. Like I feel like, especially being sort of influencer or making content, and a lot of it is very me centered. And although that's great, like I'm me, so I know myself more than anyone else. It's just a bit boring after a while. Like, and it's always so like sometimes it's nice to have to do something that's just not about your own ego, and it's not at all. It's just about them and like helping them. And I think my sort of like introduction to the industry has been quite varied. So I think outside the teaching, I think I also have quite a lot to offer in terms of like, you know, just different ways into the industry, different things you can do and things like that. So yeah. I love it.
That's why I love talking to all different people in the industry to show like there's so many ways to skin a cat.
100%.
Not a very nice saying, but it's true.
Yeah, I've envisioned it as well. But,
yeah.
And this is when people ask me advice, like, how can I do this? And I'm like, respectfully, what I did, like, I came into this industry like 10 years ago. Everything's changed. But what you've got to do is just be you, be good at it. And that's the way. Like, if you want to do something enough, you will do it. And obviously there's advice I can give, you know, starting out through actual jobs or things like that, but I think everyone's path is so different, so it's very hard to give like linear advice about how to get into it. And I think you're probably the same talking to people. Everyone's got a different way. It's usually they stumble about it through their passions. Yeah.
And I think not to sound like so corny, but like the only thing everyone has in common is that they just did it.
Yeah.
And like didn't stop.
And that's the only difference between the people doing it and the people not. The people doing it, there's like they're not more intelligent, they're not more stylish, they're not more creative, because there's so many talented, creative, stylish people, but they're just doing it, like you said.
I saw, like, I think it was like Friday, it was like, there's people right now doing what you want to do
worse
than you, and getting paid for it because you're just not doing it.
Exactly.
Like, if that's not going to get you out of bed in the morning, what is?
Go claim the space, honey. Go claim it.
What's your process when you put an outfit together?
So it depends. So if I've got a new item that I want to wear, then obviously that'll go first. And that could be a sneaker, that could be an item of clothing. But if I'm going sneaker focused, it's usually like, okay, like what am I doing today? Can I wear like a really nice sneaker? Is it raining? Where am I going? Who's gonna see it? Things like that. Like when I'm in certain groups of people, I kind of dress, even though I've got many styles in one, I kind of dress to what I'm doing, where I'm going and who I'm gonna be with. I kind of enjoy that process as well, like tailoring my outfit, because it's like tailoring your mood to the activity, you know? So it really depends what I'm doing, what vibe I wanna have. If I wanna uplift myself, then I'll kind of will dress up. If I wanna be cozy, comfortable, but yeah, I think probably sneakers first. I do tend to go a lot of the time, but it really depends. There's no sort of way, and I just kind of, I'm quite quick with it, like color wise. It's all about color really, if I think about it, and matching and things like that. So yeah, start with one piece and just build from there. What about you?
What about me?
Yeah.
You don't want to know my outfit choosing process. It is literally like, even if I've like got an outfit in my head and I've planned an outfit and that is what I'm wearing to wherever I'm going, just know that is not what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And I'll have to normally go through like 6 outfits before I leave the house. I have to just like, I go to my rail and I'm like, right, this and this, and I'll just keep changing things, like a flip book.
Yeah.
And then I emerge
like
a butterfly.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it's chaotic.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you,
Yeah,
but it's fun. I enjoy it.
Like,
I wish I could say I was just like watching you get dressed a minute ago. It was so easy.
Yeah.
I was like, wear this. You're like,
okay. Yeah. It's like, it's all my stuff. I love it all.
Yeah, but
So
I like it all. But I think I have so many really, really different styles.
Yeah.
They don't really go together.
Okay, fine.
So it's like, yeah,
it's a bit eclectic. Whereas mine's, I think, kind of in the same vibes. Like,
yeah.
They're all just like either
even when you do more girly or do
plain.
more like androgynous, like it's still kind of like very Jess look.
Yeah, I think so too.
I feel like 1 minute I look like an executive woman, the next minute I look like a streetwalker. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's fun. That was a long answer. This is not my interview. Let's journey back to 2020.
Okay.
You wrote a Vogue article.
I did.
And you were talking all about representation of women in the sneaker industry, which I can imagine is very interesting to navigate because it is quite male dominated.
Yeah.
Do you think much has changed since you wrote that? What you're in now, 4 years ago?
4 years ago, wow. To be honest, and it's so lovely to be able to say, I think so, but I'm also aware that I have a very limited perspective because it's just me in this city, in the circles I'm in, and things like that. But what I have noticed is I do feel like people are making a more conscious effort now to think about us, include us, and kind of lift us up and let us do our thing a bit more. And I think a lot of that has happened from us, though. I don't think it's sort of, like it's a very male-dominated industry, and I'm not sure always they've stepped aside and let us do it. It's more we've stepped up and claimed that space as well. And I think all the kind of work that happened in that era, it's just been a bit more of a knowledge piece for people. And I think a lot of people were just a bit more ignorant to it, like have their tunnel vision, this is what I like, this is what I do. They're not actually thinking, oh, am I gatekeeping this industry, or am I not actually supporting people who also are in this industry? I mean, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of people that are terrible, and still some of my peers experience quite a lot of sexism. But I think in the circles that I'm in London, it has definitely become way more inclusive, and I think, brands are really noticing us, putting us on, shedding light. And if you even look at my sort of career trajectory, I don't think that would have happened 10 years ago in sneakers for women. I really don't. So I think, it's improving. It is. Credit to us. There is a long way to go with everything, but I think we've got to be on the journey, and we are on that journey. Okay, so for example, I'm going to SneakerCon now, like the sneaker festival, and that would have been something that I probably wouldn't even have felt welcome at, or not SneakerCon specifically, but like sneaker festivals. And now I feel like we thrive there, like we're celebrated. It will be very male dominated. All the sellers are usually male, things like that, but I think it is still a work in progress of getting there, and it is getting better.
Less of a dick swinging contest now, or you think it's
Do you know what I think it is? I feel like I think they're doing it in private. To be honest, they're loving it still. But that's what I mean. It's similar to racism. I feel like I think it's still happening and it's still there. But I think now that the majority has this knowledge piece of, okay, I need to now be a bit more of an advocate, they're kind of in the shadows a bit more. So if there are still sexist people in the sneaker industry who don't really value women's place, I'm not hearing it so much anymore. I'm not seeing it so much. And I think the majority now is pushing them more into the underground. So that's what I think kind of 2020 did, is equipped the everyday person with the skills to be like an advocate. And that's what I'm grateful for. And I feel like with race, sexism, all those things, people felt they had their voice again. And that's, it's nice.
That was really good.
Thank you.
When I was reading that 2020 article, one thing that you put in there that I'd never really seen written or just thought of in that way before was that women in the sneaker space are either hypersexualized or pro athletes, and there's actually no middle ground. And then I was trying to think of people that I could place in that middle ground, like public figures, etc. And I really couldn't think of many. All I could think of was in my day, like Vashti and Tiana Taylor when she first came out. They were my girls that I would follow. Who do you think, apart from yourself, are sort of representing in that space that people could follow if they wanted to?
So I think a good place to start, you just mentioned Vashti, would be sort of the people that have had high profile collaborations. If we're looking sort of high level people, sort of celeb basis, it would be people like Alayli May, Tiana Taylor, Vashti, Melody Asani, and then now a lot of athletes coming through as well. And then I think layers behind that would be, influencers, models, content creators, people that actually are passionate about it, I think that's the key. People come in and out of sneakers with the fashion, but holding on to the people that the fashions come and go, but who still have that undying love for sneakers. I think that's the way to do it. That's the way to kind of get authentic inspiration. But even then, now thinking, I can't think of too many people that I look up to in that way, but I do really look up to my peers in the industry. We share such a communal passion and love, and it's males and females as well, and everyone who's included, but we really do love it. So I feel like if I don't have necessarily a hero or icon to look up to, I just look to the people that I'm associated with in this industry, some amazing people doing amazing things.
I think that type of person was like the missing link back when we were younger, because
Yeah.
social media wasn't really a
100%.
thing.
The internet has helped with the representation of women. So it's not just, you know, writing those articles and showing up to things. It's just seeing pictures and media and like of girls and women doing these things. We never saw that. I only ever saw Serena Williams. That was it. Growing up, I remember going to Foot Locker in America. I think I might have wrote that in the article. Can't remember. And I just remember looking at her as a kid, thinking, "That's amazing. You're on this Nike campaign." But I was like, I can't remember any other woman who is. And if they are, it might be like someone in sort of like a hypersexualized model, boobs out, legs out, logo tee, and then sneakers. And I'm like, that's fine, and that's its own thing. But if that's the only representation that we have, I think that's very damaging, you know? So I'm really grateful now. The internet, like social media, has really helped us. And I think the younger generations... Grace Perry has a great quote that I always use all the time. And it's like that culture takes 10 years to catch up. So if I think about it, what we're doing now and what we're putting out there, think of the kids in 10 years' time. So just say like 13-year-olds now, when they're sort of adults, they're going to have grown up with all this representation that we didn't experience. So I feel so grateful to play a small part in that, you know, like kind of correcting the errors and the gaps that we had in representation growing up, like to be part of that progress. I think it's just lovely.
I think you're playing a big part, not a small part. But
Thanks, honey.
I don't know about small parts around here.
I don't know about that. Appreciate you.
One of my favourite things to watch is like videos about collectors, even if it's things I don't collect. I just find it so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think Vogue had that really good series. What was it called? Of all the people that collects like from one specific designer. Loved it.
Oh.
Did you see that one?
No, I didn't.
There was like one guy that's got everything Jeremy Scott's ever made. There's like a Galliano guy. It was really cool. But one thing I noticed when I watch these kind of series is like all the collectors, they don't know what their end goal is with their collecting. As if you're collecting, I mean, sneakers are a bit more of a practical item.
Yeah.
But do you ever get like a collector's panic in that way?
Not really. I think people have called me a collector, but I know this sounds ridiculous. Not a collector, but I think this is quite reasonable. And this is not even all of them. This is just like, I've got some in my second bedroom that I don't want to get sun damaged. I've got some things at my parents' house, things like that. I was in a Nike contract for 2 years, so a lot of my Adidas, Yeezys and things like that, I just drove back to my parents' house. They live there now. But no, I don't.
Sorry,
really...
I can't move past this. I feel like when you said that, what should have happened was like all your family emerged and it's like an intervention. And I'm like, welcome to my new series, which is like rehabilitating collectors.
With Jess.
Not a collector, no.
No, but it's just more... Well, I suppose what I'm about to say is probably the textbook definition of a collector. So let's do it. Okay, I'm a collector.
Listen, baby, it's either a collector or a hoarder. You pick your poison.
Yeah, I mean... It's kind of a synonym, really, if you think about it. No, I don't know. There's shoes that I know I'll keep forever, just because either they are, you know, super exclusive, or they represented a time for me, or they represented a moment in the industry. And then there's ones that are more transitional, that will sort of, you know, they're cool for now, but I won't keep them. Maybe I'll run them into the ground, use them as like beaters, things like that. But I don't know. I know I'll have a core collection forever. And I think I'll be wearing these for the rest of my life.
I think that's just healthy then. Let's say you're not a collector, you're just like an avid wearer.
Yeah, I'm an avid
because
wearer.
I guess you're using everything, it's not being preserved.
I
was
have
just
a single
interested.
sneaker that I don't wear.
Okay, I like that.
Unless it's like I'm holding on to it for a certain reason, or I'm trying to sell it, or trying to get rid of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, but everything that I like and that I've acquired, I wear. I can't wait to wear them. Like, you can see with some of that's probably like a really high profile shoe there, and it's battered. It's the off-white UNC Jordan 1 Virgil Abloh era. But yeah, and it's battered. But I don't mind. Shoes
that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I think wearing stuff is good.
I think so too.
That's the moral of this episode.
Yeah. And life.
I'm so glad you watched.
Yeah.
But I think that's quite cool to mention, because I feel like with like the influencer space, this like stigma that you just like hoard stuff and then like do all these like hauls and like never wear any of it. Like, I think that's when people think influencer in this day and age, that's what people get in their heads. But you're actually just somebody that has really great style and you wear everything. So I like that is on record. Yeah,
and I think my whole life I've been in, so I'm 31. I've been doing this for like about 10 years, but all my life before I had a load of clothes, I had a load of shoes, and I've always just been really into it. Like, I've always sort of really enjoyed the process of getting ready. I've really enjoyed the process of like finding statement pieces that I keep forever. And I have clothes that I've had since I was like 15. I'm not going to mention it too much, but this vest, I'm not going to say where it's from. Tragic. But I've had that since college. You know, like I don't see the value in having all these like intermediate transitional things because I love them. So if I'm soul bonded to an item, it's gonna stay with me
I
forever.
did a clear out once. It's the biggest regret of my life. I still think of things that I've got wrong in that one clear out and regret it. I'm never doing it again.
I just think hold on to things. If you like it, hold on to it. Because 2 years time, the trend cycle comes back around, and it'll come into fashion, and like you have it already, but with it's your own personality to attach to it. Yeah.
I don't believe in capsule wardrobes.
Yeah.
So.
I was about to say something mean. I think it's fine for people, but for me, I've always thought it's a bit like minimalism, where I'm like, that's fine for you, but I've always thought for myself, sometimes, don't hate me, it can be a bit of an excuse for lack of personality. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go to someone's home and it's bare. I'm like, okay, I see the vibe and I see what you've done, but for me, I like things to be vibrant and to, you look around this room and you're like, this speaks of me. Like, this is me. And I'm like, can a minimalist, can that speak to a personality? I'm not sure.
I just think words have definitions and more is more.
Yeah, I think so too. Scene, cut, done.
We talked a little bit about like your careers, your many jobs. So you've worked for Condé Nast.
Yeah.
She's worked for Vogue Guys. I know everyone wants to know about that. And you do associate lecturing. Are there any other paths you haven't explored yet that you would like to explore?
Oh, that's a good question. No one has ever asked me that in my entire life. I don't know, like my first love of life was books. And I've never really thought of myself as an author. Like I prefer non-fiction books to novels, but I think perhaps there'll be some sort of book or like curation of something that I compile. Like I really enjoyed uni, like making essays, doing research, things like that. So I think something in that kind of field would be really fun and interesting. And I really enjoy like academia. I really enjoy learning. I really enjoyed that. So I've got a kind of touch to that now with the lecturing, but I feel like I want to learn more, you know? But yeah, apart from that, I think in terms of fashion, no, I don't want to be a designer. I don't want to own a brand. Like that seems to be the natural progression for a lot of people, but I don't really have interest in that. I don't think that's where my creativity comes to. I think it's more about the styling of it. I think the thing I love about myself is I'm very open and I kind of go where the wind takes me. So we might talk in 5 years' time and I'm like, I'm just doing this now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I'll see what happens. I did not expect to come into lecturing so early. I knew I wanted to go into academia later on, but this has happened. So I'm thinking, what else is going to happen?
I love that.
Who knows?
I love that way of looking at stuff. I relate to that. It's the element of surprise.
Exactly. It's like life is for living. I don't want to be stuck in this little... And like fashion is my passion. It's my hobby. I know I'm always going to do it, even if I'm not doing it for a job. So we'll see.
I like that, by the way. Fashion is a verb.
Yeah, it is.
You've been quite open online about like experiencing burnout and mental health stuff, that you kind of put it all out there.
Yeah.
Do you think the pace of like social media in the fashion industry is out of control?
I think yes, for certain. I think more, not so much myself. I see people like who work in PR and who are working, you know, the show schedules. I think what they have to do is insane, you know? I think the beauty of being sort of an influencer or content creator is I take the work on that I want to, if I'm lucky enough to get it. But the problem with that also, which can cause burnout, is that you can't dictate when you're going to get jobs. So I had a really quiet 6 months, like the first half of this year, to the point I was actually looking for like actual jobs again, thinking, that's fine, I can do a job for a little bit, you know. I quite like to go into the office, meet new people, have some colleagues. I don't mind. I quite enjoy the process of that. But fortunately, the work's picked up now again. So yeah, so burnout and things can happen when too much is happening. But I think it's actually the more traditional fashion roles that are worked crazily. I don't understand how they do it and survive. And they must just be in a constant stage of burnout. You know, I'm quite lucky. I can wake up when I want to. If I've got to shoot content, it's in my own time frame, things like that. But yeah, the industry itself just has this massive cycle, and it pumps people out and makes people so disposable, and it's really sad. It's really, because you go into it only because you love it.
It's true.
And then you leave because you lose love of it because of the conditions of the industry. But I don't know, I feel very fortunate in the position I'm in to not really have to, right now, you know, when I was working at magazines or publications and doing my stuff on the side, it was tough. Yeah,
I can imagine.
It's a lot.
I remember I was leaving a show once and I was chatting to some girl on the train platform, we just, as you do, and she had her laptop and she was like one of the photographers of the show, so obviously she has to get them in like record speed, and she was just sitting on the bench like editing pictures furiously. She's doing it on the train, like she's got 24-hour deadlines for like how many shows, like every single show she's going to, like it is wild they don't hire bigger teams to cover that stuff. You're right, it is like the traditional roles that are really like put to the test
100%
in that way. I also think there's something else interesting that you said in there, which is like you can kind of choose what you want to do as a content creator. Not to make this about me, guys, but I was like get really anxious before show season because it's like the news, having to do like report so much news, and then when it was last control week I was like, I don't actually have to talk about that if I don't want to. And then I just didn't talk about any of it, and then nothing bad happened.
Exactly.
And I was like, well, guys,
and you're happy.
Like, I think it can be quite like a pressure to like be involved in the conversation. Every conversation doesn't need me.
No, exactly.
Every like trend doesn't need you to do a post about it.
And that again, I think is the beauty of getting older and having more experience. It's like, you know that everything's just gonna come around again. I've experienced it all. So if I miss a season, I'm not.
You're 10 years in the game now, right?
Yeah,
so
I'm tired.
She's learned a few things,
and I think that's the beauty. Like, and that's the beauty of it. It's like you know things now, so you have the experience of it. When you're young, you're plucky, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to be there. I've got to speak about that thing. You don't. The industry is always going to be here, you know, and you can choose what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and like there's no pressure. The only pressure actually comes from yourself. So I think dealing with that pressure first and just relaxing a little bit, and you know, if you're finding it triggering, you know, I'm not going to fashion week or I'm not where I want to be, just delete the app during the month. Focus on your human side, or just absorb information. Like, use that era to like learn, you know, what are other people doing, what are brands doing. Like you said earlier, you don't always have to give your voice. Sometimes being a spectator is super important and can actually inform what you want to do next, you know. Sometimes when we're just speaking, we forget to like take stock and actually like, do I even want to do this? Do I even enjoy this?
What's the saying? 2 ears, 1 mouth. So you should be listening twice as much as you speak.
I've never heard that. I love it.
I think that's right.
Well, it makes sense. If not, that's yours now.
Yeah,
it is now.
Trademark.
Yeah.
I do think sometimes there's just so many voices, so many images, like so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
You don't always need to throw your rock into the pool.
You can just have a conversation with your friends. It is now. Again, you've got all these gems today. She's a wordsmith.
Yeah. Nonsense. It's just dribble.
And I'm lapping it up. I'm like, yeah.
Is there something, you've been, as we said, in social media for 10 years now, is there something about this job that you think people don't realise?
I suppose like the sort of, for brands, that side of it, social media for brands, I think there's this idea that it's sort of just like capturing content and posting. And although that is primarily a lot of your job, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. You know, there's a lot of strategy, there's a lot of reporting. It has become over the years more sort of digital marketing, whereas before I think it was personally more about like storytelling, capturing an essence. And now it's more like it's actually digital marketing. But what I will say from my experience of the industry is that brands, publications, companies have not caught on to the fact that it takes a team, you know? The amount of people I know doing social media and it's like, oh yeah, it's just me. For the whole front-facing output of a whole brand, it's one person. So they have to liaise with every single team, curate the content, work on the content, work on the tone of voice for a whole brand. And I think it's just, there's a lot of pressure on that. Already, social media is a hard job, you know? It's always on. It molds itself with your own social media. There's no separation, you know, because you're working on the thing that you're also viewing as a normal person, as a civilian. So it's like, it's a lot. And I'd say like, just if you want to get into it, it's so much fun and it can be really, really challenging and you can learn so much, but it is tough. And I don't think the industry has really caught on to how demanding and how actually draining social media roles can be. You need a team. Period. Yeah. Even 2 people. Just, you can't have one person doing it all.
I've been in a 2-person team in a brand before. Don't do 2.
3.
Do 5.
5. 10. Add it up.
Yeah. Don't do 2.
Yeah. From the personal side, social media, it's lonely, is what I'd say. I do really miss having a job. You know, you're not feeling great. You wake up, you put something on. You're on the tube. You're in society. You're in the world. You go to work. Your friends ask you how you are. You make a tea. You have a tea. You have this like communal element that's natural because you have to be there. Yeah. Whereas I think when you're just creating content, you know, you have to find people to do that with. You're a lot of the time you're just doing it by yourself with a tripod, and I think it can be very lonely. And I'm very extroverted, and I think I need to be around people, and I think that's the downside of the job for me, is I don't think I meet enough people, and that's why I'm always at events. Like, people think it's just networking, but I need to socialise. I need to socialise.
Sometimes I watch your story and I get tired because I don't really go places, and I'm just like she's got energy. But I guess if you are like a true extrovert, because I'm not, I can see why it makes sense now, because it is a lonely job. I was still doing one shift a week at a salon just to like see people. Yeah. And I was like, it was actually really inconvenient. Also, like the hour that the one shift that I was doing. But I kept doing it until literally a couple of months ago, because I was just like, I think talking to the old women of Essex about their French manicures, like, it does something for my life.
100%. It's like community. We need to have intergenerational relationships. We're human beings. Like, and I think again with fashion, like, we can be so tunnel vision. I just want to talk to like normal people doing normal things. You know, I learned so much from just people. And so I miss it. I miss that. So that is why I'm at events a lot. I like to party. I like to talk to people. And it's just interesting and it's fun. And it's, I don't know, I'm not personally seeing the direct link from like you attend an event, you get a job. But I do think there is space in putting your name out there, your face out there. Because if you think about it, it's PRs and it's people working at these brands who are the ones who are going to think, okay, who do I know that could do this? They get a brief. Who do I know that can do this? And if you just had a long conversation with someone, you know, you're probably going to be in front of their mind. So I do think there is like a lot of sort of need to be out there, but I wouldn't say it's necessity, because also you see people that live in the middle of nowhere and they're very successful content creators. So I think it's up to you.
But even like someone just seeing your name on a list and being like, oh, she's lovely, because they've met you somewhere. I do admire your like what's the word, stamina.
I've got stamina.
It's good. I haven't got much social stamina either.
I spend like 2 days here alone. I'm like, I start to feel sick. Like contemplate everything. Like,
But with this job, it's true. You could literally just be you and your phone for a week.
Yeah.
And everything you need to do is done. Yeah. Like, without leaving the house. It's very weird.
It's surreal and it's not human. And I think this industry is quite new, and I think we will see the downsides of it, I think, later on. Maybe I've just manifested my new career path. Maybe that's what I'll do my PhD on. Like, the after effects of, you know, like, having a job like a content creator or social media manager.
I saw this really silly post that I keep thinking about that was saying like, you know, like people in old TV programs that are meant to be like our age, they look so old, and
it's criminal.
Do you know we're older than Michael Kyle in season 1? Like, what the hell? Anyway,
my gosh,
But anyway, but there was some theory someone had put online that was like, is it because we grew up like with computers, so we stayed in more and like didn't get sun damage on our faces and like look younger? And then somebody else was like, yeah, but the blue light or like people, and I just fell down a hole reading this thing.
I think so.
That's quite useless information.
No, I think it's so interesting.
But I was just reading it like, is this real?
But do you know what I think it is? I think that we didn't have adequate representation, and I think we are the first time that we're having like 30s, 40s representation. So I feel like it, hopefully, maybe just being optimistic, I hope by the time the young kids grow up now, they won't still be like, oh my God, you're 30, you don't look 30. I'm like, but what do you think 30 looks like?
Michael Kyle.
Yeah.
I'm sure that people want to know from an expert, what is the best sneaker ever?
Ooh, I felt a bit giddy there when you said that, honestly. There's no possible way I can answer that. I think it's all personal and subjective. So I can answer from me. But I think for people getting into it, I always say the big three. So it's an Air Force One, an Air Max One, and a Jordan One. I think that's a really good place to start. But I think it's subjective, like, because you might have an idea that hype is what makes the best sneaker. You might have the idea that performance makes the best sneaker, or things like that, or the personal story around it. So there's no really a way of me saying what's the best, but I can tell you some of my favourites. I love, they're not really in fashion right now, the Jordan 1, but I've got sort of a lot of the high-profile women's collaborations, which I always talk about and I love. So like Melody Asani, Laylee May. I've got Tiana Taylor's Jordan 1. I might have moved it so it didn't get sun damaged. For me, because they look good, they have a story that is so personal to me, you know, women in sneakers, and the amount of women in these high-profile positions to have collaborations is still quite small. So they hold a lot of weight for me. And then I like innovation, you know, so I'm a big fan of Air Max and what that has done for the industry, the sneaker industry and the world and things like that. And I think that's why I've always really loved Nike, because it's all about innovation at its core. Like, we don't realize that, but actually the brand started on like really pushing innovation for running, and they've still kind of done that, and they still keep doing it. So I think that's why I like it, the stories behind it and things like that. I think a lot of people in sneakers will say that an Air Max 1, there's like probably like a quintessential silhouette that people love, but it's not my favorite. Yeah,
I'm really looking like I know which one.
these ones.
Oh yeah.
See what I mean? Like for this, it's like eclectic and beautiful.
Yeah.
And so that's why I got this, rather than like, I mean, it's a good collaboration as well of concepts, but I think that's why, like, I love it because of the aesthetic.
Yeah. They would look good with this outfit actually.
Oh my god, mood.
They would go with every outfit because there's so much going on.
There's so much
I love
going
stuff
on.
like that has a lot of colour and a lot of print, so you can actually wear it with anything.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that it's an accessory. Oh my god, look how stunning these are.
I like those.
We're in a shocks era right now,
I like those.
and these are great.
So we're gonna play a game.
And you hate games.
And I hate games. I don't play games. So this is a big deal that I'm playing a game with Jess
So
right now.
lucky.
I have asked Jess to show me 3 trainers from her collection. The first one I want to see is the hardest to track down.
Okay, can I show you 3?
Of course.
I'm gonna do 3 for every question.
What did we say earlier? More is more.
More is
Let's
more.
see the sneakers.
Okay. Da, da, da. So, these are all collaborations. They're all relatively hard to get hold of, as in like they were limited, things like that. Resale value was quite high. So these are Sean Witherspoon. Oh my god, I just think they're the most beautiful thing I've
They
ever
would
seen.
also look good with this outfit.
Right?
They're really, really nice.
Corduroy. It's a mix between a 97, which is an Air Max 97, and an Air Max 1. 2 iconic silhouettes, in my opinion. And yeah, they just, to me, this again is like, he's a really cool dude, he's doing cool stuff, and this was an amazing release. I think it was a Sneakers Day release, I can't remember, but I got it after the fact. I swapped 2 pairs of shoes and paid a little bit of money for these. That's how much I wanted them. But I think the price is going down a bit now, but iconic. And then this is an off-white Menta. So I love silver and I love grey, and I love Virgil Abloh, rest in peace. So this for me is like an ideal sneaker. This again, I haven't really ever seen anyone in these. I actually bought these off an ex-Nike employee. I actually, like, she wasn't even selling them, and I was just like, what would be your best price? Because I really wanted them, and actually she did a really good deal for me. And I just love them so much. I think they're stunning. Again, the 97 silhouette. And then we have, you probably have seen these around, probably in red as well. They were very like hype beast era. So this is the Jordan 1 UNC off-white as well. And UNC is just the colorway. The red ones were the Chicagos. And this was just like peak Virgil. Like this was when Virgil like really, you can see I'm very Virgil orientated.
Yeah.
Not this. But this was just such a moment in time for the sneaker industry, and like what he did for sneakers and sneaker culture, like I don't think anyone will do again. And it was just so iconic. So I think this will always have a special place in my heart. A little nod to Virgil. And I just think they're really cool.
I like that you said about the Menta, that it's like not one that's like so trendy. I
Yeah.
think sometimes like the perception that I have of like the sneaker world is like it's very much like the hype shoe and everyone has to get the same thing. But I
Yeah.
like that you're talking about just your taste.
Yeah.
And I think that's like something people should take away from this. It's not about having what everyone has. It's like
100%.
getting the stuff that you find really cool and interesting and unique. And this is that.
Yeah. And there's also like in the sneaker industry, if you're passionate and you know about sneakers, you know that it's not always about the hype. Like I know sneakerheads that don't mess with any of the hype stuff, you know? Like, so for instance, this has been a re-release recently, and a lot of people had this back in the day, like the OG one. You can just go into Dirty, more than last time. You can just go up to into Size or anywhere and get these now. You know, they're very accessible, but they mean something.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like anymore, oh God, I really can't get it, I really want to get it. Like, brands are making shoes now. Shoes are sitting on shelves. That what we were praying for is happening. You can buy shoes now. But I think it's about the stories and the culture behind it more than I can't get it, you know?
Yeah.
More than accessibility or inaccessibility.
I like that. The next one I want to see is the most sentimental.
Cool. La la. Now I've changed the laces. If I know I was speaking about them, I would have put the actual laces in. I put some off-white laces in. But these are, I would say there's only about 3 Jordan 1 mids worth your time. These are one of them.
So they come with the watches.
Yeah.
So cute.
Basically, that's from a designer called Melody Asani, and she's just like the most amazing woman. And they say never meet your idols, and to be honest, I'm very fortunate that I've met a lot of people that I really inspired me and I looked up to. And I'd say I can count on one hand the people that actually like not only fulfilled that sort of idea I had of them, but actually like blew it out the water. You know, she was just so human and so normal, and she's doing amazing things, and she's incredible, but she was just like really connected with me on like a personal level. And I feel like that just made me have such a deeper love for what I already loved, you know? Because I've met some people, you know, and it's just, they're a bit like one-dimensional. And I've always been a bit disappointed because people are just people.
Yeah.
So when people are so great and just loving, I'm like, oh, I love you. So yeah. So that, it was a big time as well for women in sneakers, because it was like, I think she was the third ever woman, second or third, I think third woman ever to have a Jordan collaboration.
Did you say what year this was?
This was like, it was
roughly
before the pandemic.
Okay. Wow,
Was it
took
during
that
the
long
pandemic?
for the third woman? Bloody hell.
Ashley was number one. Yeah. So obviously there's been like Serena Williams, Nicki
Yeah.
Minaj, Billie Eilish have had like silhouettes and things like that. But in terms of like collaborator
Yeah.
women in sneakers, it's like 3. I think
Okay.
she's third. So it was Ashley, I think, then Lady May, then Melody Asani. I'm not sure whether it was. I need to check my facts. But I also just love the messages on here. It says, if you knew what you had was rare, you would never waste it. And it says inside, let these shoes take me to places that support everything I am and need. Show me my path.
Oh.
And then the little thing on here says, limits like fears, often just an illusion. So I just love it. You know, it's like, it means something. It's beautiful.
You've given me another question. I'm so sorry.
Okay, go for it.
Because you said you changed the laces.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, I remember like when I was at school, it was such a thing like how you laced your laces.
Yeah.
And everyone was trying to make these like crazy new lace styles and have like, I don't know if that was just like in my school. Is that like a thing? Like how
I
you
think
lace...
it was growing up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do people still do fun laces? Because like I liked that.
I think so. I don't really see as much as these days. But what I really care about is a lot of like OG sneakerheads like will really look down on how people lace up and creases and things like that.
Do creases matter? Because I'm sorry, that's
they
ridiculous.
do to some people, but for me, absolutely not.
I wear a trainer once, it's creased. I don't care.
It's like they choose.
If my son turns around to me and says, "His shoes creased," well, get a job.
Get over it. Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that because I was just wondering about the
that's
creasing.
not everyone. People do think that, but I just think I really have taken it upon myself to dispel certain myths that people have about sneaker collectors and things like that. One is that, you wear them. Like, I want to actually wear them. I don't know how to lace properly. I just put them in and go. But
I didn't know there was a proper way. I just thought there was like different ways.
there's different ways.
Yeah.
But, like, some people would look at that and be like, oh my god, what have you done?
Yeah. Once I made like a loom and like weaved my laces.
Oh, that's so nice.
Just you couldn't tell me shit at school. People are doing more charms now. I noticed.
Yeah,
I like
charms,
that. I like that on the shoes.
I've got a Cortez done that's it's really cute.
I think that's super cute.
Yeah, but girly type things. And then the other thing I'd like to dispel as well, that like I make a habit of telling people if I don't know something. You know, I'm not an encyclopedia. Sometimes I forget the names to some of these, like, and I own them. I don't need to know everything.
There's a lot of shoes.
Right, like, why does passion mean you reel off facts?
Yeah.
That's not how
That's
it
just
should
the
be.
way. That's just like an elitist thing to like put hierarchy into something that doesn't really need it. That's what that is.
And that speaks to the whole of the fashion industry, really, as
100%,
well. Yeah,
100%.
So I just think with my position and, you know, I've been in this game a long time, and I think a bit of my reputation, like, and I've worked hard to like kind of be here. So I just really want people to know that, you don't need to know everything, you don't need to do everything, and you can just do your own thing, find your own way.
I'm glad I asked you that. I'm really like enjoying this.
Yeah. You want a crease or sneaker? Crease or sneaker?
And now I want to know what's the most recent edition.
Okay. Gifted?
Either.
Bought?
However it found its way to you.
Okay, so
Ooh, I like these.
these were bought the Comedy Garçon. They're dirty. Oh my god, I need to clean.
They look like do you remember that music video with Busta Rhymes and Janet Jackson?
Oh my god,
What's it gonna be? And they're all like liquid.
They look like they're in like a cheese grater. Like.
Yeah, and she has that really cool like spider goth look.
Yeah.
This reminds me of that.
I think they're stunning.
They're
Such
so
an
cool.
iconic silhouette. And it's obviously a Come collab.
So these are like new.
Yeah,
They
these came out maybe like 3 weeks ago.
Okay, cool.
3 weeks ago. I think they're so beautiful.
They're really cool. I've never seen these.
They suit me really well because I've got a narrow foot, so they're perfect. Yeah, it's foam posit. And the last Comedy Garçon collaboration, I didn't get my hands on them, and I really wanted them as well. Now that this was a really nice white pair, which was this silhouette. I didn't get them, so I'm very happy to have got them this time round.
Yeah, really, really nice.
And then gifted Sonda, those, and then also the Volmero, which having a resurgence right now.
I like these.
Yeah, and this is just walk into the shop and buy them vibes. You know, they're not exclusive or anything like that. It's just a very beautiful colorway.
Yeah, really, really nice blue.
But this is like classically what I mean as well about these could be a performance shoe. You could wear this to the gym. And it's comfortable, but also you could wear it for fashion.
See, I am making faces because I'm just thinking about my boyfriend. Oh, boyfriend watching this back.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what he's going to say to me. He is going to bring up when he wanted to start running, but he didn't have running shoes. And I was like, you don't need running shoes to run. And then we had this big like debate.
Yeah.
And then I was like, the Hebrews walked 40 days.
Yeah, exactly.
They wearing those.
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
They're wearing sandals.
So now he always clowns me whenever it's like anything to do with performance wear, because I just think you don't need it, but you do.
Yeah, I feel like if you're running like a marathon and you're running outside, you need performance
I'm
running
like, whatever,
shoes.
just put on.
But me, like 20 minutes in the gym, I can wear one of those, it's fine. Like, not hurting any knee.
I just couldn't pretend to be like, yeah, it's fine, because
Yeah.
I knew what I was going to hear when I got home.
Yeah.
So I had to just out myself for
Yeah.
someone else me. I think we covered everything. Thanks for talking to me. That was
It was
so
so
fun.
fun. We could go on all day.
We really could. It's been really good to
Yeah.
learn more about you. I think there's things people will be surprised about in there. She's an academic, guys. It's not just silly fashion girls with no brains. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Have a wonderful
Thanks for
time.
coming.
She's so on brand. I just caught her before she goes to SneakerCon.
Yeah.
So, you know, places to go, shoes to wear.
She used to like lust over and not be able to afford.
Cool. That's the end. Bye. I'm good.
Yay.